seeing you. You too. Mark. I'll grab a seat. You got it. Very good.
Well, we would like to thank everyone for coming. This was kind of just set up as a little coffee hour to originally try to get some Dixon Township people in here if we could before harvest. But then their schedule is going to be very, very busy. But we want to thank you for coming. We're just basically going to share a little bit about ourselves, a little bit of why we're running, and then also we'd like to hear from you guys as well. Questions, concerns, comments. Very informal, so please, if you have questions or comments, we'll do our best to answer questions. We just kind of go that direction. Okay? So, Rusty Cooper. I'll just kind of start with a little background of me, where I've been, why, and then why I'm here right now. Grew up here, graduated from here, went on to Bowling Green State University, got a Bachelor's of Science in Education from Bowling Green, planning on being a teacher. Came back because I wanted to be in this area. And why I know I wanted to be in this area because my student teaching while I was at Bowling Green was on the east side of inner city Toledo. So that was an eye-opener for me from being from Eaton. So I knew I wanted to get back here to this type of environment. Substitute taught for about 2 years, waiting for a position. And then an opportunity opened up for me to go and coach college volleyball. So I did that for 7 years. And then during that time, I got married, began to have children, and then that had to stop. A lot of travel, a lot of time away from home, so family was important, so I cut that career and moved on. Of course, traveled quite a bit with that. After that, was a finished carpenter for 4 years, then moved back to Eaton. Again, when I was a finished carpenter, we were in Chicago. My wife is from Chicago. That was fine. We weren't so sure that's exactly where we wanted to raise our children. This was the next best option, of course. So I moved back here. I presently work at Silfex. My present position is as a team leader, and I just basically assist and run one of the manufacturing departments within the company. Now, why I want to be on the school board. Biggest reason for me is I do have 4 children, 11, 9, 5, and 2. So I think this is a very good system. I also believe with the new schools, we have put in place a great opportunity for our kids. They got state-of-the-art, everything they need. I want to help continue with that. I think that's very important. I think people like yourselves who went to school, why are you back? Part of that is because I think you like the atmosphere and you like the education that you hope that your children are going to get. So that's one reason, why I want to be here. I think we need to continue to improve on what we have, and ways that we can do that, as far as continuing to have a safe and secure school system, which I think we do, and I think we will continue to do that. I think we need to have parents and the community continue to support and be involved in their children's and the group as a whole in their education. I think getting parents more involved with their own child, as difficult as that can be from time to time, and with the makeup of society, I think that is going to be key. And, if I were to get elected as a school board member, I would hope that that's something that the school board could assist in and ask you in working with the educational staff. How can we help you achieve your goals? And part of it, with the state testing, and everyone's concerned about them teaching to the state test and not actually educating. I don't know how that works. I haven't been in the school enough to know. I know there's concerns with that, so I think that would be a great avenue to pursue, is how can we help the teachers, the administrators, focus on making sure we meet the standard, but also actually teach. And with that, I also feel that one of the most important things is, as a school board member, you make decisions that are, best for students and best for your community. And that's pretty much the bottom line as far as I'm concerned with what a school board member should function and what they need to accomplish. Because that is what's most important.
I'm Lisa Noble, and I grew up in Hamilton, Ohio, and I graduated from Miami University in home economics education, and I landed my first job in Ohio. I honestly did not know what it was. 30 minutes up the road. Seems like everything that we did in Hamilton was going south. So I was excited about my job here in Eaton. And I was just, from the very beginning, just in awe of the great pride that the community had in their school district. And so through the years I taught for 35 years. Home economics became family and consumer sciences in the early 90s. And so I taught for 35 years in Eaton High School. And I absolutely loved it, through the same passion for the school district that Eaton community has for the school district. And I actually was not ready to retire, but retirement was a great opportunity for me. And so I'm very passionate about the classroom, about the students, about the community. And I am still very much interested in that. So with my retirement in 2012, I also took a position with Indiana University East in Richmond, and that position is working with student teachers. And so I work with 5 or 6 high school teachers for the year. This is my second year of that, and I have 3 teachers right now in the Eaton School District, and of course, with great pride, they are placed in our district. And it gives me the opportunity to continue to work with teachers, with our school system, with our children, and they're able to gain, I think, excellent experiences as student teachers. I also have 3 of my own children who are Eaton High School graduates, and they're very successful, of course I'm a mother, but they are successful, doing well. And I always like to think I have twin brothers who live on the East Coast in Bethesda, Maryland, where they seem to have every opportunity, and then some in local school districts. And I will put my children's education right up to their children anytime. My children have had every opportunity here in Eaton and with the Eaton school system. As far as my interest in being part of the board is that I think that I have the educator's perspective to add to a 5-member board that attracting good teachers, smart teachers, motivated teachers, passionate teachers is key in our children's education. I think that that has a trickle-down effect with the students. Our administrators, teachers, and children all alike are facing a lot of change in education. And with that change comes big challenges. I feel that I have a pretty good handle on what those challenges are. And I think that understanding is very important for the success of our school system as well. I'm not sure that anybody completely understands the changes that are forthcoming in education, but it is something that I think that we need to really zero in on so that we can achieve our goals. We're very much assessment-based and moving more and more so toward that. To be a creative teacher is going to be a real challenge with that. That creativity in the classroom is certainly important in successful children in the classroom. It's exciting to have a school system that is so well supported by our community. As a teacher and as a resident in this community, being involved in the community is something that I think is very important as well. So, does anybody have questions? Comments? Yes.
Lisa, I'm curious, what changes do you think need to occur in the first year?
In the first year, I have, as speaking for myself, I know that there would be a large learning curve to be a member of the Board of Education, but I think to follow through with the teachers who are, being data-driven in their own assessments as educators, being assessed differently, as with their role in the classroom. Again, our students who have to achieve certain scores, pass, to monitor the pre-assessment through the post-assessment to show growth. That growth is probably down the road going to be tied to a paycheck for our teachers. Administrators have to spend a lot more time with their teachers in their assessments, so understanding the standards that have begun to be implemented, that was a lot of change. The time restraints in the classroom. I had a student teacher just say to me this past week that, I'm so excited about teaching social studies, and I would really like to spend more time with a certain era because I have a lot of knowledge of it, but I understand that we have to cover the standard. And so we have to really focus on that. So the time in the classroom is extremely important that those standards are covered. And students are prepared to take the test and pass the test and show growth. Affects the student, affects the teacher, affects the administration, and affects the school district. The report card.
Do you think the current board could adapt to the upcoming changes?
Again, I think that there is a huge learning curve there. We're all learning about the process, about the change, and if the changes are really going to happen as they appear to be happening, or the change is going to change. So, I think that having a good understanding of that is important for a board of education. I also think morale is really important, and to walk in that classroom and be excited about your job, or to walk in that building, school building, and be excited about your, the children, your teachers, and I think that goes, all the way across the board.
How does the board affect morale?
Through support. support, understanding, good communication, good listening. The people who are professionals, trusting the professionals to do their job. And if we are hiring professionals to do the job, I would expect that the professionals, I don't have knowledge about the math teacher or about the social studies teacher. I knew my subject, and I would be professional in my classroom. So to have respect for that position.
How many years teaching here?
35.
In the 35 years, did you have much interaction as a teacher with the board? Did that gradually change through the years?
I think that I had a fair amount of interaction with the board, and I presented to the board on a pretty much regular basis as far as what was going on in my classroom, what was going on in an extracurricular activity that I was participating in. Student achievement would be recognized by the board. And I think that that's very important. That was very important for me to have that recognition from the board, or that interest from the board, or that at least acknowledgement of what I was doing, or what my students were doing as well.
If either two of you had to write a job description for a school board member, what would you put down for who you answer to and who answers to you?
From my perspective, it would be the superintendent and school treasurer would be.
You answer to the superintendent?
No, those would be the positions that I would be concerned about, and then they would do their job in the district.
I have one more question, if that's okay. You've been talking about changes coming down the road, and I'm assuming you're talking about the Common Core curriculum that is being implemented in Ohio. Would you, either of you consider fighting against the implementation of that curriculum in the local schools, or are you satisfied with it?
I don't think it's a bad idea. I think that it needs to be expanded on, probably as far as the Common Core. There is a lot of interpretation as to how we get to the focus of the Common Core. And anyone's interpretation could be,
Who interprets it though?
the school district, the teacher would interpret
Okay.
their standards and how that teacher is going to teach that to the students. And then how my student is going to go from point A, the pre-assessment, to a post-assessment that shows growth. And then I have my group of students that has to be showing growth in order for me to show that I'm doing my job as a teacher. It's not a perfect system.
This will be my learning curve, not being within the education system, but just, that's going to be my homework, is learning to understand what's coming and how those changes will affect not only the teachers, but also the students. And I agree with Lisa on what she was talking to earlier as far as everyone's connected, from school board members all the way down to the students. It's one giant living, breathing organism, and we're all affected by how well we do. Students are affected by how well the teachers do. Teachers are affected by how well the students do. And the board members should also take ownership and making sure that the administrators are doing their job as well to make sure that the teachers are doing what they need to do. And it kind of goes back to what I mentioned earlier as far as being able as board members to assist teachers and administrators in any way we can to help bring ideas to the table every week, or just to give them the freedom to bring ideas to the table and then help do research if necessary to weigh those options and see which direction would need to be taken.
Lisa, how much time does it take away from the teachers for these state testing?
Lots of time. I cannot give you an exact number of days, but the number of days that they have to do pre-testing, and it's different for every grade level. I know my daughter teaches first grade in Columbus, and there are several days devoted to individually testing each child that they have in the classroom, one-on-one. So that takes a lot of time out of the teaching classroom. Grade assessments and test assessments.
What does, in the end, what do these testings, what do they accomplish?
Accountability. Is that we're accountable as a teacher, we're accountable as a student, and we must be accountable as a school district to show that we are doing our jobs.
Do you think they're necessary?
It's not a bad idea, but I can't think that it's a perfect idea either, because there are a lot of things that you're not going to be teaching in your classroom. That you would like to teach as a setting. Yeah, a student teacher that has such a passion for a particular area, really, and sees that glimmer of light in a student, that we have to have this. And, it's a lot more structure according to that. Again, we're being compared, and it all comes, with the funding coming into the school system. And we all need the funding. Funding have to have that to survive, so it's not a vicious cycle. And it's good to some degree, and it's very stressful as well.
Who developed the core? Is that the Department of Education?
It's been throughout the country. So it's finally gotten to Ohio, and that's what we adopted, that along with that in other states.
The part of the federal,
It's not part of that.
it's not a federal, it's more state level.
State
Yeah.
accepting it.
Right.
Yes.
It was not written by educators.
It's not written, but it's something that states think it's a good idea, and other states are doing it. So we're getting on the bandwagon like everybody else.
You said it's not written by educators?
Yeah.
It's not written by educators?
But it's more black and white for everyone to be on the same page.
But doesn't it actually lower standards in Ohio?
To what are you using?
The standards that you're trying to acquire through the testing and all teaching and everything is lower than what Ohio is currently, the standards Ohio currently has.
I think there are fewer standards. Is that what you mean? There are fewer standards that we have.
I think even the few that we have are lower than the ones we have currently, prior to Concord.
So we'll be more focused, and we can pass that test rather than a broader curriculum or a broader.
No, just know less when you get out of school, but you'll be like everybody else. You'll know
Exactly
the amount less that everybody else knows.
Yeah, that's what I say, as a teacher, I would like to be innovative and take my students to the top. And the top is not what the standards are all about. The standards are here, whereas I would like my students to be able to do that.
And I don't think the parents want the kids up there too.
Separate the lower standard, the lower students up, everybody's. So everyone.
Is that has to do with the changes that they made in the high school this year with the honors classes and the general classes? Does that have to do with that?
Everyone is
But
college.
it wasn't state mandated yet. It has not been state mandated yet,
No,
right?
that's not for 2013, 2014, but it will be for 2014.
But Eaton just jumped on the bandwagon.
I really can't speak to that.
But does the board, and I know you probably can't answer this, maybe Terry can, who makes that decision that these classes in the high school were changed that way? Does the board have any say on that at all? And I'm just
I wasn't
wondering,
going to respond to that. I was just going to come to listen because as a taxpayer, I'm trying to figure out who I want to vote for, if you know what I mean. But a lot of the things that go on, I can say particularly, are at the behest, or whatever you want to call it, of the administrators in the building. Whether they choose to go a year ahead or whatever. You know, I've not heard of that. So, but let me make one thing clear. A lot of times there are things that go on that I don't know about until after the fact myself, because I'm one of the last ones to know what's going on. So, unfortunately, and I have complained about that.
I mean, I guess I was just wondering if it hasn't been state mandated yet, because you know, we all know how the state works, that it may never be state mandated.
I think that as a school district that we don't want to wait until we have to do it. We want to be prepared ahead of time, and I think that's the thinking of many schools is that if we have to do this next week, well, we should have started this a year ago. So that it's an easier transition when we have to do it. But there's always change with the changes.
Right.
You mentioned merit pay that's coming. Is that something that the schools decide on, or is that going to be state mandated too?
You know, there's some schools that have adopted that for merit pay, and some who are not. And again, is that going to happen, or is it not going to happen? And it's, I would think that'd be very difficult to implement that. I don't know, that's all the assessment-driven, data-driven focus.
Nothing that fosters them.
Yeah, who does that
Cooperation.
assessment? I mean, right, that would be so difficult, it's just so up there.
For money.
Yeah.
For salary.
Yeah.
And then it would, you know, what students are going to get in my classroom.
Right.
To them.
It comes down to demographics.
Doesn't foster cooperation with teachers either.
No.
Each grade level.
Lisa, you had mentioned competitiveness. Is that competing for funds from the state for the school district, or competitiveness from a, how do we as the United States rank against others and how they educate?
Well, as far as the funding, it would be from the state and federal funding that we would get that we're
That's
competitive with,
competitive.
but we also are competing globally with, you know, what we're producing in our schools, how successful our people are, the capabilities, are they ready for the job market, can they do the jobs?
I'm concerned with the old high school sitting primarily, I understand they're rating a small amount of space, but it's not too much. I just don't want to see that building deteriorate over years and be an expense to the school system. I'm hoping there will be a solution sometime down the road, because it's going to be hard to find a use for that building.
Since the new building issues have come up, I am aware that city schools, that's been a priority in the decision to bring in the buildings, is that it's a landmark in the center of town.
Phase one, it was determined that Dixon needed to be raised, and the money was set aside to do so. I felt like that should have occurred with phase two, but it did not.
So you're saying that
I feel like the building should be raised.
that the building should be raised? The high school building?
The old high school.
The old high school?
But I do know there's going to be an auction, and it's next month.
That's a little bit of a concern, because when we had Dixon, it was vacated, we did have somebody on the board said they were willing to buy it and make a top mall out of it, whatever. And we made a promise to the township to go ahead, it's not use it, we just said use it or raise it. So we didn't go with that option because we were afraid that somebody's going to buy it. And you got to watch a buyer on those too, because if they go ahead and vacate, you're going to have a pile of bricks. If they haven't done the due diligence, if they can't get that thing renovated the way it needs to be renovated for whatever purpose they have, and they are foreclosed on or whatever, I don't know if I would even lend money on that. But anyway, you just got to be careful who you sell that thing to. Make sure that they have a good, viable plan, and they're going to be able to follow through on it, because if they leave town, you've got a problem. And you may have worse structure than when you start.
So the community, I think, as a whole would be very much focused on,
Well, in an auction situation concerned me a little bit, because you don't know who may buy it and what they're going to buy it for and the use of that building.
Who controls that decision?
Yeah. Well, the school board.
But that's the current school.
Yeah, I would just be concerned about that.
Well, they would have to adhere to zoning, the city zoning laws.
All I can say about this, I wish I could tell you more, but I can't, because it's an auction. We do have an idea as to who might buy it, and I can't say any more than that. You know, who knows, but the board has the right to determine who it's sold to. We can either accept the bid or we can reject it. So that will be determined immediately after the auction.
When you determined we're going to raise Dixon, who did you talk to?
That was part of the bond issue. That was,
Yeah, that was.
he said that, and Merle was the facility task force, and then he said that if we don't use it, if we don't have a use for it, then we'll go ahead and raise it. So I think it was $330,000 in that bond issue was going towards raising that building. So it's very expensive to raise all of it, because of asbestos and the remediation.
We didn't want it to look like Jackson.
Yeah, that's what we didn't want that. And actually, the first thing the architect said was, well, let's take that money for raising that, let's put it in the new buildings. And we said, no. And I remember Dick Mitchell and I stood up and said, no, we promised those people that we're going to go ahead and raise that building. And that's when we held that promise.
Don or Merle Campbell wouldn't like that, would they?
Yeah.
So I wonder what people have been talked to about the current structure now? Or is it the board's just going to make a decision?
Again, it will be determined by who bids, who gets the bid. If you remember correctly, at Bruce, the bid was not acceptable, and then we rejected it. And then we did end up getting a much better deal later on. So, but that took some time. And
Who ended up buying that?
I can't remember, but I know the ESC is going to go into
Oh,
the
okay.
lease.
So that's a good entity.
Yeah, they're going to lease it from whoever bought it, and they're going to go into it and use it, so.
I think that old high school is just, it's not ADA accessible.
Well, Sinclair's in there right now, using it for
Parts of it.
part of its,
Don't they have like a trade school?
yes, they have like a training, some type of a training thing for
Right.
business and industry. And I'm sure that whoever buys it will get, because that deal is good for, I can't remember, 20 years or something. But again, it will be determined by the board at that time whether or not we'll accept the bid at auction. But we think, you just hear that we think that we will be
So you feel that's been, I'm sorry, here.
the predominant bidder, but who knows?
You have to have more than one bidder, right?
I'm not sure about
You
that.
have to.
You don't?
They can sell for $1 if one sells for $1.
We could sell it.
That's a problem, you sell for $1. Who are you selling to? That's the main issue. And what are they gonna do to build that?
That's gonna be my question.
If they walk away from it, you're in trouble.
Is it a dollar amount? Or is it gonna be, are we gonna look at who is?
I would say this to you, that I have no issue if this person buys it, there won't be any walking away from it, I would guarantee you that.
Yeah,
So,
I think there's some deep pockets out there, and if they get a hold of it, that'd be good.
and Craig, I don't know if you've heard anything or not, have you heard anything?
No,
No.
I mean, I haven't. There's always rumors going around, we might do something with it, and it would be housing for,
And this may get outbid, you never know, but I don't think so.
Do you have to take the highest bid? I mean, you're explaining to me like you guys are gonna determine.
We're gonna determine if we're gonna sell it or not.
Right. So if a group comes in at $50, and you really think that they're gonna do the best thing with that, and another group comes in at $100, and you have no idea what they're gonna do with it, are we just gonna take the money and run,
Well,
or is
I
that
can
gonna be?
tell you my attitude toward Bruce was, if somebody walked up and said they give us $100,000 for it, we ought to take it, just immediately.
Regardless of who is buying it.
Well, again, you're looking at, what's the option here? If you hold on to that building and have to maintain it, kids go by and put rocks through it, then it looks like Jackson again, which,
Jackson was sold at one time, wasn't it?
well, Jackson was given to the Jackson Township trustees. They put the Sierra Coles District, I know this for a fact because I was teaching there at the time, they put $17,000 of windows in that place and sold it to $1 to the trustees, which I thought was questionable. But again, that was their issue. But in response to what you're saying, I think it is important as to who buys it. I don't think there's any question about that. And I think that is another thing that you have to consider when the bid's on the table. So, at least from my perspective. And again, I'm only talking from what I'm thinking. And
Rusty, I don't think it's an absolute auction, it's a reserve auction, so I don't think they have to accept any of the bids. Make an assumption there, I'm pretty sure that's true. I think there might be a problem if they were to accept a lower bid than the higher bid, because by state law, there might be an issue with that. But I don't know that.
it would certainly have to be justified.
It would have to be justified.
To do that.
We're relying on it pretty heavily since no one's given any input from the community, at least the ones that live within a couple blocks away, so we hope you make a good decision on that.
It's very important to me that the good decisions.
Yeah, because I live downtown.
I literally, I
Here we
can't.
are, with several of us do.
I will be more than glad to listen to you, and I will do the best I can, that's all. Number one, I think what Rusty said was very true. I have always tried in my decisions that I make to do what's best for the kids, number one. Number two is the community, but I've always tried to put the kids first, because as a teacher, that's what you really want to do. So that's my mindset, and
In this case, I think the community needs to put pretty high out there.
I would agree, because this is more of a community thing than it is a kid thing. So I think we pretty well dealt with the kids and what we're offering them, that we want to make sure that it doesn't become an eyesore, that it doesn't become a problem. It's very much in our thoughts, I'm sure. In my thoughts, I know it can.
I would just say it's very important that people get two polls and vote. Three positions and 6 candidates. So thank you all for coming tonight.
Thanks for the church, for your church members.
Just a couple of things. If anyone, this is for me speaking, and you can address this if you want. If anyone would like to, if you enjoyed the conversation, if you would want to host kind of like a little coffee hour type of deal, I would be more than happy to try and work that into a schedule with you. So if you want to, just get in touch with me, let me know. I'd be, we'll try and get the schedule squared away, and if anyone else would like to do that, if you like what you're hearing, you want to try and get that information passed along. If you'd like for me to come out and try and do this again, no problems. Again, just trying to do what's best, or what I think would be best. And again, like Terry mentioned, that I think the kids need to come first, and you make your decisions off of them and the community. And as we alluded to, with the assessments and the teaching and merit and everything else, I think it's going to be a very difficult time in the future, in the near future. But I think we need to hold to keeping the students priority first. And I think if we do that, not just as school board members, but as teachers, administrators, coaches, if we keep the academic focus, I think everything else will hopefully fall into place for us.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.